Welcome everyone to Module 2. In this module, we'll explore some of the most commonly used formulas and functions that every analyst should know. We'll start with the arithmetic function to perform quick calculations, then we're going to move to the logical functions like if, and or to help you make decisions inside your models. We'll also explore the lookup functions like XLOOKUP, VLOOKUP that allow you to fetch data efficiently. After that, we'll explore text functions that will help you clean and format your data, and the date functions that help you work with date-based or time-based data. Later in the module, we'll also dive into array functions like filter, unique, sort to help you work with dynamic datasets. We will work with named cells and ranges, a simple but powerful way to make your formulas easy to read and manage. Towards the end of this module, we'll work on a mini project where you apply everything that you've learned so far in a practical exercise. Mastering these functions will set a strong foundation for the next part of this course, where we'll start building advanced financial models step by step. If you already feel confident with these functions, you can feel free to skim through this module, but I still recommend following along for a quick refresher. You might pick up a few new tricks or shortcuts along the way. Alright, let's get started. In this video, we will learn about the sum functions in Excel. We will cover three types of sum functions: sum, SUMIF, and SUMIFS. I've also provided an exercise file that you can download and use to follow along. The sum function, as the name indicates, adds up a given range of numbers. Here on the first sheet, I have a table with the salesperson name, month, and sales amount. Let's say we want to find out the total sales amount of all the salespeople combined. We can do that by using the sum function. I'll write the sum function and then select the entire range of numbers that I want to be added. Then I'll close the bracket and it will give us the total. Next, let's move on to the SUMIF function. The SUMIF function is slightly more advanced. It adds the numbers that meet a specific given condition. For example, in the same table, instead of summing the sales for the entire sales team, let's say we want to find sales only for Ava Brown and James Anderson. This is where the SUMIF function comes in. The SUMIF function takes in three arguments. The first argument is the range. This is the column that contains the criteria values. So in here, we're going to provide the column that contains the salespeople name. The second argument is criteria. This is the condition that we want the formula to check against. So we will provide a reference to the name of the salesperson whose sales we want to get totaled. The third criteria is sum range. This is the column with the numbers that we want to total if the condition is met. So here, I'm going to select the sales amount column. Close the bracket, press enter, and we're going to get the sales value for Ava Brown. Now we can copy this formula and paste it down. However, we have to be careful because if we just copy and paste the formula, the ranges that we have provided in the formula will also shift as well, unless we lock them with an absolute references. So what I'm going to do is delete this formula, go back to the formula that we had put in for Ava Brown, lock the cell references to absolute references using the F4 key or just placing a $sign. Now we can copy and paste the formula down for James Anderson as well. Now let's move to the next sheet and look at the SUMIFS function. The SUMIFS function adds the numbers that meet two or more conditions at the same time. For example, let's say we want to find the sales number for Ava Brown and James Anderson, but only for the month of February. This means that we need to evaluate two criterions over here, the salesperson name and the month name. So let's type in the SUMIFS function. This function takes in at least three arguments. The first argument is the sum range. That is the column with the numbers that we want to be totaled. So here, I'm going to provide reference to the column containing the sales numbers. The second argument is criteria range 1. That is the column that contains the values for the first condition. I want the formula to first check if the salesperson name is Ava Brown or not. So my criteria range 1 will be the column that contains the names of the salespeople. So it will be the first column of this table. And the third argument is the criteria 1. So in this case, I need to provide the name of the salesperson for which I want to find out the sales, and that is Ava Brown. Now, if we had only one criteria to be evaluated, we could have actually closed the formula here and press enter, and that would have worked fine. But in our case, we have one more criteria that we want to be checked, and that is the month name. So I'm going to put in a comma, and then for criteria range 2, I'm going to provide a reference to the column that contains the month names. And then for criteria 2, I'm going to provide in the name of the month for which I want the sales to be totaled. Now let's close the bracket, press enter, and that should do the job for us. Similar to the previous example, we can drag the formula down, but before doing that, I'm going to freeze the references. Now I can copy the formula and paste it down. In this video, we will look into Excel's count functions. Count functions are useful for getting quick insights into your data. When building financial models, it's important to understand the structure of your data that you're working with. In the same file that we used in the last lesson, go to the count sheet. Here we have few exercises to practice and get a clear understanding of these functions. Excel has several count functions. We're going to practice some of the important ones in these exercises. The basic count function counts the number of all the cells in a given range that contain numerical values. So for example, if I apply the count formula to these three ranges, you will see that it returns the number of cells that contain numerical data. The count A function counts all the cells that are not empty. Irrespective of whether the cells contain numerical data, text data, date, or anything else, as long as they are not blank, count A will include these cells in the count. Count blank function, on the other hand, is the opposite of count A. It will count all the cells that are empty. Count if function works very similarly to SUMIF or SUMIFS that we learned in the last lesson. It counts the number of cells that meet a certain criteria. So let's say in this example, we want to count the number of cells that are not equal to an A. So I can put count if. In the first argument, I'll provide the range that I want to be counted, and then the criteria that I want the function to use in order to decide whether to count a cell or not. So here I'm going to put quotation marks not equal to an A. Then close, copy the formula, and as you can see, it has counted all the cells, empty, blank, everything included. The only cells that have been excluded from the count are those that contain an A. Next, we can move on to the second exercise. Here, I have a table which contains salesperson names, their sales target, actual sales made, and the difference between the two. From this data, I want to gather some quick insights. I want to know what is the total size of the sales team, how many salespeople achieved their target, and how many of them missed it. To get the total size of the sales team, I can use the count A function and select any column in the table. It will give me the size of the total sales team. To find out how many salespeople achieved their target, I can use the difference column. Wherever salesperson has achieved their target, the difference column is showing a positive number. So I can use this logic and apply it in a COUNTIF function. So I'll put the COUNTIF function, select the difference column as the range, and then in the criteria, I will put greater than 0. Likewise, to find the number of salespeople who missed their target, I can again use the COUNTIF function and just reverse the condition, which is less than 0.